God loves when you flagellate yourself. He gets off on it. So I'm obviously making a little joke there at the start, but a question that I get asked quite a lot is, I want to try some BDSM, or maybe I want to try some kinky sex, but I feel like guilty about it. I feel maybe guilt when it comes to my religion, my upbringing, my conservativeness, and all of that. Is it possible to do some kinky stuff in the bedroom to even just be a more sexual being, or do some BDSM while still respecting my religion and respecting where I have come from? And so in this video, we're going to use Christianity and maybe the teachings of Jesus as like a basis, but this kind of applies to literally any religion or any of you that grew up conservative. I am essentially in this video going to give you permission to be a little bit more kinky and show you that you can do it in ways that still respect your religion or your faith or your, I guess you would say, philosophies and principles. So I think, again, using Christianity as a base and replace that with whatever religion you subscribe to. But one of the philosophies of Christianity and Jesus and all of that is love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, treat other people the way that you want to be treated. And this is also known as the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do to you. So we're basically talking about compassion, treating other people the way you want to be treated, being nice and all of that. Can you do BDSM and can you do kink in that sort of way? Of course you freaking can. One of the ways that I like to do it myself is I like to make sure the other person is having a lot of fun. My philosophy that I say to every single woman that I go into the bedroom with is, this is only fun if you are also having fun. I don't want to do anything that you don't want to do. I want to find out what you want and then facilitate that experience for you. I want you to tell me what you're into. I want you to write me a bucket list, and I want to go through that list with you and tick every single item off and give you a mind-blowing, potentially life-changing experience. I want you to feel really fucking good. I want to treat you the way that I would like you to treat me. And that starts from before the bedroom too. So I am honest. I am upfront. I've shown this off many times. This here on the screen is my Hinge profile. I make it very obvious what I am into. I'm obviously into BDSM and kink. I make it very obvious that I want to add to the other person's life in whatever way I can. I make it very obvious that I'm into honesty and being upfront and all of that sort of stuff. And that's why I encourage all of you as well to be as honest and upfront as you possibly can with everything you do in life, because you're basically treating other people the way that you wanted to be treated yourself. Another philosophy of most religions, and definitely Christianity as well, again, just using that as an example, is love. Love God with all of your heart. That is in the Bible a hell of a lot. And we showed this one off before as well. Loving your neighbor as well. Like love and compassion and kindness are just threads that go throughout Christianity and throughout a lot of religions. Can you do BDSM in a very loving way? Yes. The way that I like to do it is with a lot of love. I show up with compassion, I show up with love, and my philosophy is basically I will lead with love. So I am taking the lead, I am the one that goes first, I'm the one that's like in the dominant position, but I'm doing that with love. I want my submissives, or I want my partners to have a really good experience. And for any of you who have no interest in BDSM, you just want to have normal, vanilla sex, do that with love as well. Like literally every single second that you are in the bedroom with someone, just be thinking, how can I give them some love? How can I show them some love? How can I make them feel good? How can I make them feel pretty? How can I give them praise and tell them that they're doing a good job? How can I give that to myself as well? How can I make sure I'm having fun? What things can we explore together? What space can we sit in so that we're both feeling a lot of love? And BDSM, to me, is something that you can do with so much love and so much gentleness, and you can be rough, but even when you're rough, you do that with love. You're making sure the other person is having a really good time. Another philosophy of a lot of religions, Buddhism, Christianity, etc., is forgiveness. Forgiving people if they make a mistake, understanding that no one is perfect, including yourself. There's this quote here on the screen, forgive and you will be forgiven. And an even more famous one is turn the other cheek. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the also or the other also. And that doesn't mean just, being a doormat and letting people do whatever they want. Obviously you might have some boundaries, you might leave if you're not happy with something, but the point here is forgiveness. I did a video about consent, this video here on the screen, and I talked about how a lot of people find consent, especially with BDSM, but just with normal sex, a little bit confusing. And lots of people put all sorts of value judgments on it, and they get very almost aggressive with the concept of consent. And it can just be a little confusing. And so what I talked about in here is sometimes in the bedroom, you are going to accidentally overstep someone's boundaries or maybe trigger something in them, or maybe you guys have sex and then afterwards you're like, I don't know how I felt about all of that. Or maybe you start having sex and like performance anxiety comes up or something and you beat yourself up or you beat the other person up. Shit happens in the bedroom, right? And if you're able to forgive yourself and forgive the other person and just talk about it and communicate like adults, consent is a lot easier. So that is forgiveness, bringing a little forgiveness into the bedroom and realizing you're not perfect. The other person isn't perfect either. Sex, and especially kink and BDSM, is a very vulnerable space. And sometimes things happen. Sometimes you're not perfect. Sometimes you accidentally do something and then the other person says, hey, I don't know if I liked that. And you go, oh shit, okay, let's talk about it. Let's stop. Let's discuss it. And yourself as well. Like I said, a lot of you guys put all this pressure on yourself to perform, and maybe your dick doesn't work one day and you beat yourself up. A little forgiveness, as Jesus and Buddhism and a bunch of other religions talk about, a little forgiveness goes a whole fucking long way, especially towards yourself. Forgive yourself for not always being the expert in the bedroom. Forgive yourself if you're not the best sexual partner that your partner has ever had. All of that stuff is stuff you can just talk about, you can improve, you can work on it, you can become better. A little forgiveness goes a long way. And on that note, another sort of quote or another sort of philosophy of a lot of religions, especially Christianity, is being humble. You know, blessed are the meek, the merciful, the pure in heart. Humility is such a big teaching of Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, blah, 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 blah. And you can take that into the bedroom. Instead of trying to be the expert, instead of putting all this pressure on yourself to perform and to know what you're doing, especially in kink and BDSM, be a little bit more humble and show up as the student ready to learn rather than trying to pretend to be the expert who knows everything. And this applies outside of the bedroom too. Rather than saying, okay, I need to know everything. I need to know what I'm doing. I need to have smooth pickup lines. I need to know what to say to her or him. I need to know what I'm doing. No, fuck that shit. Show up ready to learn. Show up with honesty and say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm excited to learn with you. This is literally what I did when I first started BDSM and kink. I had no idea what I was doing. I bought some ropes, I bought a blindfold, and then I just told the first couple of women, I have some ropes, I have a blindfold, I've never used them before, I don't know what I'm doing. Do you want to learn this stuff with me? We can watch a YouTube tutorial, we can read a book, we can figure it out, we can just try some shit and see what happens and see how it feels. Do you want to learn and explore this with me? And the first couple of women I said that to were like, hell yeah, that sounds amazing. I don't know what I'm doing either. Let's figure this out. Let's explore. Let's see what it's like. And so show up with humility, ready to learn. And I've said this in many videos. I still, to this day, show up trying to be as humble as I possibly can. With every new woman that I sleep with every new coaching client that I have, with every new one of you that I talk to, I don't know you. I don't know my partners in the bedroom. I don't know what they like. I don't know what they don't like. I don't know what they're into. I don't know what's in their head. How could I possibly know any of those things? And so I show up ready to learn. I say to them, teach me. What are you into? Tell me what you want to explore. Tell me how that feels. Do you want it harder? Do you want it softer? I am showing up ready to learn as the student, and I'm trying to be as humble as I can. And I'm not always perfect with my humility, but I'm trying. I try in all of these videos. I say to all of you a lot, I don't know everything. I'm not the expert. I certainly don't know any of you. There are some things I can tell you that probably apply to you. But at the end of the day, until I sit down and talk to you, which is why I'm a big fan of coaching, when I sit down on a coaching call with someone, then I can ask questions. I can say, tell me about you. Tell me what you want. Tell me what's bothering you. Tell me what goals you have. Tell me your hopes and dreams and your fears and your doubts and your insecurities and your limiting beliefs. Then I can get to know you, and then I can basically tailor my advice to you. On that note, if any of you want help with any of this stuff, you want coaching, there are links down below to that. You can jump on a call with me. You can come to our big hardcore VIP coaching program where you work with me personally, or you can come to our affordable $200 a month Abundance Collective coaching group. All of that is down below. And further on this, while we're just talking about spirituality in general, sex can be something that's very, very spiritual. You know, I like to put on some soft music. I like to turn the lights down low. I like to make the person feel amazing, especially the first couple of times that I sleep with a new partner. I will cover their body in oil and give them a very gentle massage, and I sort of whisper things in their ear and tell them how beautiful they are, that they're sexy, that they're doing a good job. I use it almost as a form of like tantric. It's almost like meditative. I have had a lot of women say, holy shit, I felt like I was meditating, especially because sometimes I won't say anything at all. We'll just be in that space where they have their eyes closed or they're blindfolded. I'll be massaging them and I'll just let them go deeper and deeper inside themselves and feel, those beautiful, good feelings. And then we might introduce a little bit of BDSM in there. And we're going to a very safe space. We're going to a very spiritual space, especially like I said, with the music playing and all of that. I've sometimes put on some hippie spiritual music in there as well. And so sex and BDSM can be this very spiritual expression, an expression of creativity. You're seeing what your body is capable of, what the other person's body is capable of. And then you're sort of coming together, I guess, literally sometimes. You're coming together in that intersection of two bodies, becoming one. And you're exploring that space. You can even do rituals and ceremonies and stuff like that. You can, and I'm not advocating for this, but you can introduce psychedelics and plant medicine and healing and all of that. You can use BDSM as a space for healing. I have done that with a lot of women. I've done a video on this recently. This video here on the screen about how you can use BDSM to heal people. You can have it as a very safe space where people can talk about their trauma, or they can bring up their trauma, or they can bring up some limiting beliefs or doubts or any of that. And my friend Brandon, the Dom, and myself, we sat down, did this podcast, and we talked about all the ways that we like to mentor and coach and help heal women or our partners that we sleep with. And one of my goals in general, but especially with sex, is I want to leave women better than I found them. So when they leave the bedroom, when they go back home, I want them to be a little bit better off than before we had that session or before they met me. And that is such a really useful life philosophy to live by anyway. If every person that you come into contact with, whether it's sexually or friends or you work with them or whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you just try and add just the tiniest little bit to their life, or you at least just attempt to do that, my God, that stuff comes back to you, because then people will start doing that for you. They will start saying, I'm grateful for you. They'll appreciate you. They'll try and make your life better. They'll be your biggest cheerleaders and your biggest friends and all of that. The universe is a mirror. If you put out good vibes, that stuff is reflected back to you. Something else I like to do before a lot of my BDSM sessions is to set an intention. And so we will go in there with an intent. Maybe that is she wants to explore her body a little bit. Maybe she wants to feel more safe in herself. Maybe she just wants to feel prettier. Maybe she wants to feel more loved. Maybe she just wants to connect with another human and open up and be very vulnerable. And BDSM and kink and just sex in general can be a very vulnerable space, obviously. And so we will go in there with that intention. We will usually say it to each other. I will say, what do you want to do for this session? Or how do you want to feel? Or maybe I might set an intention for that person in general, for the whole period of time that I'm dating them. I want to help this person with their self-esteem. I want to help them believe in themselves. I want to help them heal some trauma. I just want them to be happy, and I want to facilitate that in whatever way I can. And so in that way, you can see how that starts to intersect, religion or spirituality with BDSM. You can literally use BDSM or kink or sex in general to add to the principles or the philosophies that you have in your religion. Things like I said, like humility, kindness, compassion, love, forgiveness. Those things can make their way into the bedroom. And in fact, I've found the best sex that you're ever going to have is when you bring those spiritual principles into the bedroom. You can literally have the most religious, spiritual, beautiful, life-affirming sex of your life. And BDSM and kink or sex in general doesn't have to be this thing that is separate from your religion or your spirituality. I would bring the two of them together. I would meld them in that beautiful melting pot. And I would go out there, ladies and gentlemen, and have a beautiful kinky time. Bring that spirituality into the bedroom. And you might just find your sex is a million times better for it. All right, you beautiful kinksters, if you want any more help with any of this, if you would like me to be your personal coach and to guide you with BDSM or kink or sex or meeting people or whatever else you might want to work on, even if that's something like business, we've helped a lot of people with that as well. There are links down below where you can jump on a call with me and I can work with you one-on-one in a session. Or you can come to the Big Hardcore VIP coaching program where you get to work with me for 3 months. We will absolutely get in there and change your life. We will just absolutely build you that life of abundance and joy. Or like I said, we have the more affordable $200 a month coaching community called the Abundance Collective, where you work with my coaching team and we will get in there and change your life, an accountability group as well. So you get to work with all the other clients in there as well. That is alive and kicking, guys. We have a bunch of people in there right now. So I'll leave a link in the description below to that.